The world met her as Bella Swan, the quiet, awkward girl who fell in love with a vampire. But behind that pale face and nervous smile was someone completely different. Kristen Stewart never wanted fame. She never chased the spotlight. Yet, at just 18, she became one of the most recognized faces on the planet. She was adored, criticized, worshipped, and judged, all at once. Millions watched her rise to the top, and fall just as hard. But what happens when the world decides who you are, before you even know yourself? How does a shy girl from Los Angeles evolve into one of Hollywood's most fearless, unpredictable rebels? This is the untold story of Kristen Stewart, a journey through fame, scandal, and the relentless fight to stay true to herself. Kristen Jamie Stewart was born on April 9, 1990, right in the beating heart of Los Angeles, California. While most kids dreamed of Hollywood from afar, Kristen was born into it. Her father, John Stewart, worked as a stage manager for Fox Television. Her mother, Jules Mann Stewart, was a script supervisor from Australia. The movie business wasn't a fantasy. It was her family's reality. But that didn't make her childhood glamorous. She was shy, quiet, and preferred working behind the camera rather than standing in front of it. Growing up, she watched her parents juggle long film shoots, deadlines, and the constant uncertainty of the industry. Kristen once said she learned early that Hollywood looks perfect from the outside, but inside, it's chaos. At school, she never quite fit in. She hated attention, avoided photos, and hid behind her messy hair and oversized hoodies. Her dream wasn't fame. It was to create, to tell stories, to belong somewhere in the art itself. Everything changed when she was just 8 years old. During a simple school Christmas play, a casting agent spotted her. From that moment, the quiet girl in the back row was pulled toward a destiny she could never have imagined. Kristen's first steps into acting were quiet but determined. At just 9 years old, she began auditioning, often losing roles to older, more polished kids. But she had something different, a raw, almost uncomfortable honesty in her eyes. Her first appearance came in 1999, with a small part in the Disney Channel movie The 13th Year. Then, in 2002, she landed Panic Room, playing Jodie Foster's diabetic daughter trapped in a house under siege. The performance was astonishing, mature, intense, and emotionally grounded. Critics noticed. They saw a natural performer who didn't act, she felt. After that, she appeared in Cold Creek Manor and Speak, where she portrayed a traumatized teenager who stops talking after an assault. That role, quiet, internal, and painfully real, became a mirror of her own introverted nature. Hollywood began whispering her name. Casting directors described her as serious, different, unlike other child stars. But Kristen wasn't chasing fame. She was searching for truth in every character she played. Then came Into the Wild in 2007, a small but powerful role that showed she could hold her own among Hollywood's finest. It was only a matter of time before the world truly saw her, and once it did, there was no going back. In 2008, Kristen Stewart stepped into a role that would change everything. Bella Swan in Twilight. It wasn't just another teenage fantasy movie. It was a cultural earthquake. When Twilight hit theaters, it made over $400 million worldwide. Suddenly, Kristen, who once hated being photographed, became one of the most recognized faces on Earth. Overnight, she was transformed from indie actress to global superstar. Her every move, every expression, every glance was dissected by tabloids and obsessed fans. She and co-star Robert Pattinson became the epicenter of a phenomenon. Their chemistry ignited millions of imaginations, turning fiction into a feverish reality. Posters filled bedrooms. Paparazzi filled the streets. Kristen couldn't walk outside without cameras flashing in her face. At first, it seemed like a dream. Fame, fortune, and fans who worshipped her. But the dream quickly turned suffocating. She was never the smiling, polished celebrity Hollywood wanted her to be. She was awkward, reserved, and unfiltered, and the media punished her for it. They mocked her red carpet demeanor, called her cold, ungrateful, even strange. She was living in a paradox, adored by millions, yet misunderstood by nearly everyone. Still, she kept working, starring in New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. By 2012, Kristen was the highest-paid actress in Hollywood, earning more than $34 million in a single year. But behind the fortune was exhaustion. The spotlight that made her famous also burned her raw. She tried to break free through films like The Runaways, where she played rock legend Joan Jett, and Snow White and the Huntsman, a darker, edgier fairy tale. But even as her career reached its peak, a storm was already forming behind the scenes. Because when the whole world thinks they own your image, they never forgive you when it breaks. In 2012, Kristen Stewart's perfect Hollywood image shattered overnight. Paparazzi photos emerged. Intimate pictures of her with Snow White and the Huntsman director Rupert Sanders. He was married. She was in a relationship with Robert Pattinson. The media didn't just report the scandal. They devoured it. Headlines screamed betrayal. Fans who once adored her began burning posters calling her a liar, a cheater, a disgrace. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a public execution. Kristen issued a rare apology, confessing she was deeply sorry for the hurt and embarrassment I've caused. But in Hollywood, forgiveness is rare. She lost movie deals, endorsements, and, perhaps most painfully, the trust of her fans. For months, she vanished from the spotlight, hiding from cameras that once couldn't get enough of her. The girl who had been on top of the world was suddenly its punching bag. Tabloids branded her Hollywood's fallen princess. Memes mocked her. Every red carpet photo, every expression, became evidence of guilt. But behind the headlines was a 22-year-old young woman, terrified, ashamed, and struggling to understand how her private life had become global entertainment. She later admitted, "I felt like I was being hunted. Everything I did felt wrong, and yet, this breakdown would become her turning point. It stripped her of illusion, of trying to please everyone, of playing the Hollywood game. The pain forced her to rebuild from the ashes, not as the girl everyone expected, but as the woman she truly was. Because sometimes, it takes losing everything to find yourself again." After the scandal, many thought Kristen Stewart's career was over. But instead of disappearing, she quietly began to rebuild, far away from the noise of Hollywood blockbusters. She turned to independent cinema, choosing small, intimate stories that let her breathe again. In Camp X-Ray, 2014, she played a U.S. soldier guarding detainees in Guantanamo Bay. A raw, restrained performance that showed her depth. Then came Clouds of Sils Maria, 2014, a haunting exploration of fame and identity. Her performance earned her France's prestigious César Award, the first American actress to win it in more than 30 years. Kristen was no longer running from her past. She was redefining it. She embraced imperfection, authenticity, and the strange beauty of not fitting in. She became a muse for Chanel, blending androgyny and elegance into a new kind of Hollywood icon. And when she spoke about her sexuality, she did it without apology. "I'm not hiding anything," she said. "I want to live honestly without fear." Through vulnerability, she found strength. Through rebellion, she found her truth. And through that truth, she found peace. Kristen Stewart was no longer the girl the world defined. She had become something rarer, a woman who defined herself. Today, Kristen Stewart stands as one of Hollywood's most unpredictable and fearless artists. She's no longer the shy teenager hiding behind a hoodie, nor the scandal-plagued star the tabloids tried to destroy. She's an actress, a filmmaker, and a voice for authenticity in an industry built on illusion. From Twilight to Spencer, from heartbreak to reinvention, every chapter of her life has been a rebellion against definition. She's shown that vulnerability isn't weakness, and mistakes don't define a person. Courage does. Kristen once said, "I'm not interested in being perfect. I just want to feel real." That, perhaps, is her true legacy, inspiring millions to embrace their flaws, chase their truth, and live without apology. Her story reminds us that even in a world obsessed with image, there is beauty in being raw, messy, and unapologetically human. If you believe that authenticity is the new rebellion, like, share and subscribe for more untold Hollywood journeys, only on Stars and Scandals.